Hello, Daily Bay here for Guitar Impulse. Today's lesson, Circle of Fifths.
The origin of the circle of fifths begins with a 6th century BC philosopher and scholar named Pythagoras. He discovered, using a monochord, that if you put strings over a box and put weights on the end of them, that you could actually hear the different sounds it made when you plucked it. When Pythagoras began dividing the strings into proportions, he discovered that certain proportions were actually harmonious. It sounded good together. One of these is the perfect fifth. You can try this on your own guitar by simply placing your finger on the 7th fret and plucking the string, and then comparing that sound with the open string when you pluck it. That is called the perfect fifth. Using the musical alphabet, we can construct a circle of fifths. Let's begin with C. From C, D, E, F, G, that's a perfect fifth. If we continue, we go from G, A, B, C, D. That's another perfect fifth. From D, go D, E, F, G to A. That's another perfect fifth. When thinking of the circle of fifths, you can think of a clock. A clock has 12 numbers on it. The first attempt at a circle of fifths was in 1679. Each letter name in the circle of fifths represents a key. C is at the top, continuing around clockwise until you reach back to C again. In Western music, there are two popular keys. One is called the major scale. In the major scale, we have a pattern of whole tones and half tones. Notice that for a C major scale, the pattern is 2 whole tones, then a half tone, 3 whole tones, then a half tone. While each key has the same pattern on the circle of fifths, accidentals are actually added along the way as a way of representing each major scale on the right side, on the left side. Whenever we jump from one key to another key on the right side of the circle of fifths, it gets brighter. The reason for this has to do with the way our ears compare one key to the next. On the left side, it has an opposite effect. It sounds darker. In Western music, the second type of scale often associated is the minor scale. In a minor scale, you have the following pattern. You have a whole tone, half tone, 2 whole tones, half tone, and then 2 whole tones again. The minor key can be added to the circle of fifths in the following way. On C, we have A minor, and so on. Just as there are relative minor keys associated with each major key, we can also associate the modes. While I will not be explaining what modes are in this lesson, let me give you a simple explanation of where they apply. On the circle of fifths, you'll notice that certain modes can follow exactly into their certain key counterparts. For example, C Ionian is the most common scale we always use. Other scales associated are like C Lydian for the G major scale, C Mixolydian for the F. One final topic of discussion on the circle of fifths is the idea of Roman numerals. Each scale degree has its own Roman numeral value. For example, in the C major scale, the first scale degree is given a capital 1. A small 2 is given for D. Small 3 is given for E, and so on. The reason for this has to do with the different kinds of chords associated with each scale degree. The capital letters represent major chords, while the minor Roman numeral letters represent minor chords. In this final plate, we have a chord progression represented. A chord progression can be created using the circle of fifths. 1 to 5 to 6 to 4. This chord progression represents one of the more popular ones used nowadays. Notice how the 1 represents the C major key. The 5 represents the G major key. The small 6 represents the minor key of C major, which is A minor. And the capital 4 represents the F major scale. This is only one of many types of chord progressions that can be created using the circle of fifths. Let's see if you can answer these 10 questions from the lesson. Number 1. Who discovered the mathematical ratios we use as intervals in music? Number 2. What ratio is the circle of fifths based upon? Number 3. How many different keys does the circle of fifths have? Number 4. What year was the first circle of fifths published? Number 5. What key is a perfect fifth away from C major? Number 6. How many sharps does the key of D major have? Number 7. What word best describes the modulation from C major to F major? Number 8. What church mode is identical to B flat major? Number 9. What is the relative minor key of C major? And the last one, number 10. What are Roman numerals used for in music? That concludes this lesson. Remember that this lesson strictly is an overview of the circle of fifths.